Is this a kid's movie? Okay, what about this one? Now I know that this one isn't a kid's movie. I had a conversation with a friend the other day who claimed that animation is only for children and seemed pretty shocked when I pushed back. I said no, what about Samurai Jack, American Dad, Sausage Party, Pink Floyd's The Wall? I'd even argue that most children would fall asleep watching Akira or Spirited Away at this point. They said no, I mean like Disney and Pixar movies. And that's where I lost it. If you think that Finding Nemo is a kid's movie because it's an animated movie about a fish, you probably need to rewatch it. Finding Nemo is a story about an overprotective, control-freak father dealing with the trauma of losing his wife and all of his kids except one. He's lost almost everything and refuses to let the last thing that he holds dear in life go, but then it's taken from him. He has to embark on a journey across the ocean to rescue his son, broadening his horizons, and he learns how to let go and trust in someone else. Meanwhile, his sheltered son has his first experience of life not under his father's supervision. He is scared of everything because he hasn't seen anything or ever been uncomfortable before in his life. Yeah, he almost gets cut up by a fan, but he learns that he can be self-sufficient. Finding Nemo isn't a movie whose sole target audience is children. The target audience is anyone who is watching, and that is what has made Pixar successful. That is because at the end of the day, animation is only a medium for storytelling. As someone nearing my 30s, there have been several shows and movies that I loved as a kid, but as an adult, they're practically unwatchable. Movies that are clearly there to be all colorful with wacky characters that have no depth. The movies and shows that stand the test of time are the movies who aren't only targeted for one demographic. Me, my parents, my nieces, we all love Looney Tunes. Why? Because it's a great show, and you're entertained regardless of your age. If you only target children or you only target adults, you remove a large chunk of people who could watch and enjoy your movie. Think of it like a pie chart where each slice is a chunk of your demographic. Let's look at a graph by Movie Guide of the percentage of moviegoers based on age group. Yes, I know this is an animated movie specifically, but just look at the age that holds most of the percentage. 25 to 39. And who's the second highest? Ages 2 to 11. Do you think these 2 to 11-year-olds go to the movies by themselves? Like, they get into their little red and yellow car powered by their feet like in the Flintstones and they push themselves to the nearest AMC to listen to Nicole Kidman give the national anthem? No. What age are their parents probably? 25 through 39? Let's look at one more graph from Statista about the French audience for animated movies specifically in the year 2022 by age group. The top two categories are the same, but flipped, and ages 3 through 14 dominate the field with a whopping 43.7%. But again, how does a 5-year-old go to the movies? That explains the 25 through 49 age group being in second with 26.2%. You want these adults to see your movie, think favorably about it so they can tell their coworkers with kids at the water cooler, and they take their kids because it's great. Do you think they'll speak higher about the Paw Patrol movie or Elemental? I just think Elemental has more to offer an adult than the Paw Patrol movie does. I think this idea that animation is only for children comes from the sense that most animated movies are safer for kids to watch. Like, The Batman is clearly going to be a slower burn, darker, and a more violent movie. And you aren't going to take your 5-year-old kid to go see Dune. It's 3 hours long and you need to have a grasp on what's going on or else you get bored and fall asleep. Animated movies tend to be more fun, colorful, and a safer option. What makes films like Finding Nemo, Up, Rio, The Lorax, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, Hercules, etc. great are that they're family movies. They aren't just kids' movies. Animation, when it first started, was for everyone. You had Gertie the Dinosaur, Felix the Cat, Crazy Cat, the Alice Comedies, Silly Symphonies, Betty Boop, Droopy the Dog, the Looney Tunes, Tom and Jerry, I mean the list goes on. And animation at that time was so new that going to the theater was a pastime that everyone enjoyed. But in the late 1940s, post-war, theaters started attracting more kids with their Saturday morning and afternoon showings that were filled with cartoons and family-friendly shorts, and when television came around, this trend continued. As time went on though, we got more animated projects not solely targeted for kids. Stuff like Pink Floyd's The Wall, Fantastic Planet, Grave of the Fireflies, Akira, The Simpsons, and it opened people's eyes that animation wasn't only for kids. After all, animation is just a movie that is drawn rather than filmed. The more recent example of this is Disney retelling Carlo Collodi's book, Pinocchio. Disney released a live-action version in 2022 that was not well received at all. Meanwhile, Guillermo del Toro released one using stop motion the same year and it won the Academy Award for Best Animated Movie. Same story, different medium, different results. Everyone always talks about how the first few seasons of SpongeBob are so good, and they're great. But it's because the writers found a way to walk the line between being appealing to both children and adults. What I loved about SpongeBob as a kid is not what I enjoy about it now as an adult. As a kid, SpongeBob was this wacky sponge dude that did funny stuff. Now when I hear some of the jokes, I'm cracking up because they're hilarious. Going back to Finding Nemo, this joke completely flew over my head as a kid, and as an adult, it cracks me up.
But you can't really tell, especially when I twirl it like this. I'm H2O intolerant. I'm obnoxious.
Movies that are great serve all audiences, and that's not to say that the ones who only target certain demographics aren't needed, like those preschool Maggie and the Ferocious Beast, Oswald, Bear in the Big Blue House, Barney type shows are needed to serve the purpose of teaching the young, and the adult only animation is needed to take the edge off of life for adults. But that sweet spot, ooh, that sweet spot, that is where, if you want a movie that lasts, you need to fall right in there. Right in that sweet spot where you don't alienate entire portions of your potential audience. And I feel nowadays we get a lot of animated media that does this quite well. Nimona, Mitchell vs. the Machines, Klaus, anything really from Pixar, DreamWorks, Illumination, Sony, and that's because they're starting to realize that you need someone to be able to love your movie from childhood to adulthood, and you need that adult to take you when you're a kid. I guarantee that when I'm so old that I've forgotten all of my grandkids' names, I will remember the entire plot of Ratatouille instead, and we have Pixar to thank for that. And remember, if you have a Django Unchained type of script, it doesn't matter if you do it in live action, 2D animated, 3D animated, stop motion, or even the Tupac hologram. It is still Django Unchained. And that is because, again, at the end of the day, animation is only a medium for storytelling.
It's been a great year for animation because animation is cinema. Animation is not a genre for kids, it's a medium.